Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. In this video, we're going to address a problem about one of the weirdest constituencies being fought over in this general election. Because it is weird. It's a weird constituency in its own right, but it's weird about the fight. And we'll get into that in a second. Because I also want to say, I want to tell you something at the back end of this video, which is a bit of good news. So it's nice to have something nice, and it doesn't really warrant a video on its own because it's just such a short piece. So I'm just going to tack it onto the back of this one. So hang on to the end and enjoy the good news there. Now, also, by the way, before we get into it, do hit the subscribe button, do hit the like button, because YouTube's still playing silly buggers with the old likes and not likes on the subscribers, and it keeps unsubscribing people without their knowledge or consent. So do check. And if you're not yet subscribed, now's the time. Now, constituencies. Some are big, some are small, some are very odd. But there is none odder, I think, than the smallest constituency in the whole of Britain, which is also a very, very big constituency. But how can that be, I hear you say? Well, it's big geographically. It's as long as Wales, but in terms of numbers, it's only got 20,000 people. It's the smallest in terms of number of people in the constituency. And that seems a very odd sort of thing. How can you have such a big area with so few people? Well, the reason is, of course, it's one of the Western Isles, h-Eileanan. Now, this is an exceptionally odd fight. Why? Well, as you know, up and down the whole of Scotland, virtually every seat is going to be contested by one of two parties, the SNP and another party. You know, there's very few where it's a two-way fight and the SNP aren't involved, put it that way. Predominantly, it's going to be Labour and the SNP across most constituencies. There'll be a few where it's Labour, SNP and Tory, SNP and Lib Dems. And that tends to be it. It's a two-party fight just about everywhere. Who wins? Well, we'll wait and see. We'll find out. But the h-Eileanan is very unusual because it is not a two-way fight. It's a three-way fight. And the people involved are very, very weird. Now, I've got this here, and I'm only going to use this because I can't remember the names. You have an SNP candidate by the name of Susan Thompson, and you have a Labour candidate by the name of Torquil Crichton. Now, I haven't heard of either of them either. I think I've heard of Torquil Crichton, actually. That one does ring a bell because it's an unusual name. And, of course, those two are going to be vying for the main position. Labour and the SNP, much as you'd expect. However, and what really throws the massive, I suppose, curveball into this whole affair is the previous MP, the sitting MP, as it were, even though there's no MPs as such at the moment, but the man who was MP up until the end. And that, of course, is that fine and wonderful, decent, genuinely nice human being called Angus. Now, Angus is a decent man, as we know. He loves his wife. He loves his wife deeply. He loves his wife so much, does Mr. MacNeil, that when she was giving birth to his child, he was out chatting up to 16 and 17-year-old girls. And he likes travelling. He likes driving. He likes driving so much that he likes knocking people off motorbikes and then driving off. And all sorts of shenanigans. And, he's a genuinely nice human being, isn't he? Or not. Depends on how you judge the word nice. But Angus MacNeil is also standing. Now, of course, he was, for many years, SNP MP for the region. And then he had a falling out and he lost the whip because he felt that the party wasn't going hard enough on independence, and he said so quite loudly, said so quite vehemently, and that lost him the whip. And so he went, whoa, 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 threw a little hissy fit, threw the toys out of the pram and sulked. And that little sort of few days of losing the whip turned into a permanent loss, and he sat as an independent and he's flipping the bird. Now, many people actually thought he may go and join the sort of Alba or Labour or some such, But he didn't. He remained independent. Now, marvellous as this man is with all his terrible history, for some reason, and I'm at a loss, I'm really truly at a loss to know why, the people of h-Eileanan still actually kind of like him. Apparently they think he's been a good MP. I can't vouch for that. Wasn't he involved in one of those love triangles, I think? Was Shona involved? Or no, it was the journalist, wasn't it? And there was a guy banging the journalist, and then he was banging the journalist, and the journalist married Shona Robinson's ex-husband. It's all incestuous, isn't it? Everything in the SNP, it's a big circle jerk, isn't it, ultimately? Anyway, all that was going on. But they still somehow, they like him. And so this election is coming up, and you're going to say, right, let's assume, make the assumption, that the SNP support on the island was always a very strong SNP. But let's assume that the SNP support has somewhat dropped. A little bit, even a little bit. Now, if Angus MacNeil stands, which he is, he's standing, if he draws, shall we say, a loyalty vote from what would otherwise be SNP supporters, Labour are straight in. There's no doubt it's going to be a Labour seat. Or do the SNP say, well, if we stand and we split this between us and Angus and Labour get in, perhaps we shouldn't stand. We should let Angus stand and at least take that and not let Labour get the seat. Or are they going to pressurise people into saying, look, a vote for Angus will put Labour in, and you don't want that, do you? It's all there. It's a three-way fight. Now, I would suggest that Angus MacNeil won't win. I'm going to suggest that that's not the case. I think he might come third. You know, if he beats the Tories, maybe, who knows? If he doesn't come third, he'll undoubtedly come fourth. The rest of them, the Greens, the Dems and the other independents, haven't got a chance. So he'll either probably be third or possibly fourth. That's it. But it's his loyal voters that pull it, that will change everything. This genuinely is, absolutely is, a three-way battle, because it's the hearts and minds of the people loyal to Angus MacNeil. Angus Fraser's a cricketer, isn't he? It's the people who are loyal to Angus MacNeil that will decide the outcome of this election in that constituency. He's gone. I think that's the great thing. You know, this utterly awful human being will be gone. And he can take his slimy, horrible ways with him. But who are you going to put in? Labour or the SNP? Torquil or Susan? Who knows? It's up to the people there. Anyway, there we go. It's going to be an interesting fight. Now, I believe they are the ones that they won't have theirs count till Saturday or something. I think they're going to be a late count or something. But it will certainly be an interesting result for h-Eileanan. And I will be looking to see what the exit polls are, which will give an idea on the night. But I'm going to call it. I'm going to say there'll be enough people supporting Angus MacNeil, Labour will get in. So you can hold me to this. Let me know what you think. But I'm going to predict that it will be a Labour win in h-Eileanan. Now, I did mention, of course, that there was a bit of good news, and that is in the King's Birthday Honours List. It was released last night, and I noticed this morning that there is a certain person who has been entered into it. That person, of course, is Ali McCoist. Now, he already has an MBE. Well, he's been bumped up one. He's now been given an OBE. So well done to Ali. So there is a little bit of recognition there. He's doing quite well. Thank you very much. And at least somebody won last night. Hey ho. Anyway, thanks a lot. Take care. Goodbye.